Good day to you. So, in-game, we do have a new dragon in a new event, but before we get to that, more importantly, we have all of the brand new Shadow Ancient Dragons have been revealed. All of them. And yes, there is an event coming next week. An ancient event next week. So, I am going to go through this entire video because it shows us all of these new dragons like Reisk, Umbra, you know, Warg, there's a lot of them. And of course, it being an ancient event means it's going to be a major event, and it's probably going to be relatively difficult to get everything. And of course, we've got the ultimate reward dragon, which hasn't been specified, but a lot of people are guessing it's Glom. But let's watch the video together and see what we think. So it started off with them showcasing an old castle event to begin with. As Dragonlandians sleep, and then it zooms in on an owl. A darkness is about to wake. Oh no, not the ghosties. Not the ghosties. Oh no! Which threatens Dragonlandia. And then it's the first thing that showcases that bad boy with Eternal Shadow. So this is of course going to be the board event, Origin of Shadow, starting October 18th. Starring Glom, who was Glom, if you are wondering why his face might seem familiar, this was the teaser face that was used in the teaser a week ago. That there was like the pumpkin, it's on the right hand side, but it started off with the pumpkin and then you saw the demon head. It was Glom's head. But yes, we've got Glom, Myrkur, which is basically like the sound that I imagine a fish would make if it attempted to speak. And he does look very, very fishy to me. I could either imagine Myrkur being water or void, but water would be okay, I guess. But either way, that's Myrkur. Hausk or Hausk. Hausk? Could be a lot of things, but he's creepy. His eye is misaligned, obviously on purpose. This guy could either be plant or, again, void. Lots of shadow dragons are going to look void, but that's Hausk. Then we've got Reisk, and Reisk here actually looks like it's part of the Norse event to me. Or it should have been released as part of the Norse event, but it's actually been released now. Reisk, honestly, to me, looks more like a wind or a metal dragon, honestly. Obviously, all this speculation is not confirmed. We'll find out their elements soon enough. I'm just throwing out my guesstimates there. There's Reisk, Umbra, which of course we saw before. Warg, who's obviously a werewolf dragon. Shade Brute, which looks like, not digital. I know the dragon I'm thinking of, but it looks like a different dragon's, like, really, really fat papa, and I can't remember which dragon I'm thinking of. I know it in my head. It's like that dragon. I can't think of its name, but Shade Brute looks like the really large papa of an old dragon, which is kind of nice. A Ravager, which is a very terrifying name, by the way, but he reminds me of almost like, you know, during you see people from dinosaur ages or Amazonesses, or the Amazonians, I guess is the way you'd say it. That's what Ravager reminds me of. I kind of like him. Then stay tuned for more details soon. So, I'm guessing that that is every new dragon that is going to be revealed to us. And then, of course, Glom, who, he just looks very shadowy. It's tough trying to decipher which one of these is going to be the major reward. I don't think it's Myrkur or Hausk. I could see it being Reisk, or I could see it being Glom. Any of the others I'd be a little bit iffy on. But these are all of the new dragons. You know, how each of them are going to be released. One's probably going to be the board dragon. One's probably going to be the chest dragon. So I'm kind of really hoping that Myrkur and Reisk are easy to get a hold of. I am a big fan of them. I'm also a big fan of Hausk. I think my least favourite is probably Glom. Even though I love his head design, I think the overall body, plus it's a little bit blurry on his back. So, yeah, that's my take on these new dragons at least. But 100%, it is going to have a dragon board, and it is Origin of Shadow, so we've got this nice new map and everything coming in. It's probably going to be the same old, same old. And the biggest problem with this as a whole, Origin of Shadow, is the fact that, well, they're all going to suck. Because they're all shadow dragons. It's like, I'm not sure if someone thought this through, but it's like, I'm probably not going to buy the shrine this time, because every single dragon from this event that's a major award is going to have Ancient and Shadow, and the Shadow being there ruins them. Genuinely. If you're gonna ask me what's a good dragon that would also have the Shadow element, honestly, not really any of them. Like, if we think about all of these, Tessaquaver would be better if it didn't have Shadow, right? Molim is okay, but it'd be better if he didn't have Shadow. And it's going to be the case with all of these new Ancients that come out as well that also have Shadow. It's just they would be better if they didn't have Shadow. And considering the entire event is going to be an Ancient Shadow event, people have been asking me today, like, what's a good combo, Quacks? None of them. So, I'm probably not going to buy the event shrines. They're not going to be good enough. They're not, basically, because they're going to take up a slot for Shadow rather than a more useful element, it's just not worth it to me. So, I think this whole, one element per Ancient event has sort of been their own undoing, because now I don't really care for this event in terms of their elements. But I digress. That is all the new stuff, so again, you can check it out yourself on the Facebook page. I believe it's also in the Discord, and I believe it's also on the Instagram. I just check everything on Facebook because it's much easier. But Origin of Shadow next week. Then it's probably going to last a whole month. So, middle of October to roughly the middle of November is how long it's probably going to go for. So, good luck to us. You got a week. You got a week's notice, and that was it. But I guess coming back to current day and time DML, not a week in advance time DML. We've also got this boss challenge event, which I haven't been able to log in for yet, which of course has the brand new Gardener Dragon. And you know what my favourite part of this dragon is? The fact that its shoes are the same shape as its feet. Because normally when you see dragons, dinosaurs and things wearing shoes, the shoes are shaped around like human feet. But no, not with Gardener. Gardener has Gardener-shaped shoes. Or sandals, I guess. And look at how cute the egg is. Just think, we're about to have a Shadow event, and then you got this cute little Gardener dragon. Very, very cute dragon. I really wanted to get a hold of Gardener whenever it came out, but boss challenges are really not good for me right now. Like, they don't align with my scheduling at all, because you've got to log in every 2 hours at most, and I can't do that because I play on PC. What do you want me to do, Gameloft? I literally can't log in during the day because you haven't made the game cross-platform. You know what their answer is to me? Haha, get wrecked, noob. That's it. There's nothing you can do if you are someone that doesn't play the game on mobile. And it sucks. It's like every other game that's a mobile game, or that you can play on the Windows Store, you can also play it on your phone. But no. Not DML. Because why? Why would they ever invest resources to making their games more accessible and actually doable to people that play on PC? Ha 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 ha! I love it! So yeah, this is one of the harsh realities of playing on PC with a game like this. Sometimes it's like I can try and do it as much as I want, but there's literally not a lot I can do. So, screw me, I guess. We've also got new Dungeon Week, of course, because we've got all of the, I guess you could say Halloween-y themed dungeon stuff happening. Underlord has returned again. Doomsday has also returned this time for 6,000, which, you know, if you missed him the other times, you can finally buy him outright. And there's also Chestnut in here, which is not too bad. I don't mind him being there, but aside from that, there is nothing to buy in this dungeon, which is very, very depressing. But yeah, I guess coming back to the topic of the Origin of Shadow event. Again, you can potentially use one of the dragons, and it's like, you might, if Myrkur, for example, ends up being a water dragon, you know, then we'd have an Ancient Shadow Water, which is kind of like having Osiris or Artemis, but instead of it being divine, it's ancient. The only problem is you can't use witchcraft really on an ancient that also has water. It's better off that you throw Wander on there. So, I don't know. I prefer having my water element on my divines personally, or at least on one of my divines, like one divine water usually. But at the same time, divine is essential to stay up, but the leech isn't always essential to stay up in the dungeon. So it's got pros and cons either way for, say, having the ancient have the heal or a divine having the heal, for example. But if we've got, say, an Ancient Shadow Void dragon, it's probably not going to be a very good pick. Because even though you could say, yeah, well, I can just put it on one dragon and it'll still be really good. The problem is you've got to think about a whole team. Especially if we're, like, considering dungeon, right? Like, why did I pick this dungeon team? Mainly because I needed Erlang Shen's elements to fill out the rest of the elements I needed. But mainly it's got the core elements, right? Even though this team is not the ideal team, by the way. But it's got the core elements of 2 divines, Earth, Water, and an AoE user. And Ikez is a really strong AoE ancient user. And mainly because energy plus fire is really, really useful in dungeon stuff. But say one of these dragons, like Erlang Shen, say I had him as an Ancient Void and Shadow Dragon, then if he was my first piece of my team, I would have to make sure that the other 2 could fill every other role that I needed them to. So the other 2 dragons would have to have AoE, they would have to have 2 divines, they would have to have Earth, and they would have to have healing. And then at that point, you're not going to be able to really fit, say, 2 Ancient Divine Exception Dragons in there. So, say if you managed to get 2 Ancient Divine Exceptions, you wouldn't even be able to use them. So that's the reason why you've got to be really, really careful about adding an element like this, which is coming up in the new event, into your team. Because you can royally screw yourself over come future events and things like that, or just in general, you may just really stilt your team by putting together a really, really not very good one. So that's my pre-warning to you before this Shadow Ancient event comes out. I'm not saying it to be harsh about these dragons or to, like, ruin anyone's hype if you have any. It's just, all things considered, these dragons are really not going to be as even close to as good as some of the previous ancients that have come out. I hope they've taken that into consideration and made them slightly easier to get as a result. I doubt it. And plus, now we're not going to officially get a Halloween event, we're getting an ancient event, which people were like, no, they're not going to have an ancient event during Halloween because that's Halloween quacks. Well, look at what happened. So many people were like, dude, stop assuming that they might have an ancient event because they wouldn't have one. Yeah. See who's the winner now. Okay, no one actually won, but this is the reason I always tell people, don't assume anything about DML's schedules, because they may just drop a major event within a week. They may replace every single festive event. Christmas might be cancelled. Christmas might just be another ancient event. Not even kidding. Don't assume that Christmas is safe. Christmas is no longer sacred, guys. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Christmas may no longer be on the cards. So, considering Halloween is gone, and we also had, what was it, a Chinese event, New Year event that was replaced with a major event as well, nothing is sacred anymore in the land of DML. So, say goodbye to your festive events, say hello to month-long, arduous, annoying ancient events full of a bunch of shadow dragons that aren't even very useful. It's just like Frosky. I wanted Frosky to be good, but plant, and then we're gonna get an ancient divine shadow. They're just as bad as each other. It sucks. Maybe if they actually fix the unbalanced nature of sigils and everything, maybe we'll be able to use them, but right now it's just the Rahavers and the Reisks and the Ogres are just better, and that's the unfortunate reality. But either way, those are the new dragons. I hope that you enjoy and like their designs. You know, there's nothing wrong with liking the designs on these dragons, and, you know, Myrkur, big fishy boy. Definitely looks like a big shark to me, but, you know, let me know which one's your favourite and how you're feeling about us having an ancient event in a week. But I guess, get yourself prepped. Make sure you've got all your breeding den stuff prepared, you got your gems saved up, all of that jazz. You're gonna need them.